Hello everyone, Dawn Epting here. Thank you guys so much as always for watching. So I wanted to come and talk from the topic today, your past is bright. Your past is bright. And I know normally we talk about our future being bright, but I really want to dig into the significance of our past because a lot of people struggle with things that they've endured in the past or mistakes that they've made, challenges that they've had. And hopefully we can reframe these challenges, our past, the mistakes we may have made by the end of this video. So I normally like to start off with some type of inspirational quote or a scripture. And I wanted to come from Philippians 3, which is forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are before. So why is your past bright? Why is your past bright? Number one, I've written a few points down here. Your past is bright because it all brought you to where you are this present day. I'm sure we can all look back at our lives and we can kind of see how even the most challenging circumstances worked out for good. When we look back in hindsight and in retrospect, even though it may not have made sense at the time, it brought us to where we are. And I know that this has been true in my own life. Serving in the military, it was a challenging time with being so far away from home. But looking at where I am now, the skill sets that I acquired with being in business in the military and having my own business advising firm now, and some of the things that I'm doing, it makes sense. And even some of the struggles of my early life, I can look at where I am now and how it motivated me and how it made me determined and to be a go-getter and to be more compassionate towards other people with starting Christian suicide prevention and the suicide prevention line that I started. So looking back, even though these things were not a lot of the things we encounter were not like caused by divinely caused in any way, they still can work out for good in our lives. And I know that I've mentioned him before on this channel, but Aaron Dowdy often shares how he was abused by his ex-stepmom. He's a famous YouTuber from like 7 until 16 years old. Forgive me if I'm getting the age frame incorrectly. But what he says is it all brought him to where he is today. And I'm sure that that's true in your own life. Whatever you've endured, it was for a purpose. It was for a reason. It happened, and it was, the purpose of it was to bring you to where you are this present day. So that's number one. It all brought you to where you are currently. Number two, the reason that our past is bright is we don't have to constantly rehearse our checkered past. We don't have to constantly rehearse it. Because when we constantly rehearse it, we continue to have the same experience in our present that we've had in our past. When we continue to constantly rehearse our past, we have the same experiences in our present that we had in our past. And I wrote here, I know that we've all heard people say, well, I'm always broke. I always get sick. If anyone gets sick, I'm the first person to get sick. Or relationships, I'm just not good at relationships. They never work out for me. And what happens? They're rehearsing their past, and often they are always broke. They always do get sick. They often struggle. I'm always ghosted. Why are guys always ghosting me? Why are guys like this? It's because they're rehearsing the same things. They're having the same thoughts. They're saying them. They're rehearsing them constantly. And those thoughts and those emotions are creating the same experiences over and over in their present. So we have to remember that our past is bright when we don't constantly rehearse it, when we're not constantly telling people the story of how we were mistreated, and not just telling the story and having those thoughts, but having those same emotions from the past of being neglected, of being rejected, of being, abused, that arise in us, that cause us to have those same experiences currently. Number 3, I have 4 points I've written down here. Our past is bright because our past can be revised, so to speak. Our past can be revised. And I have a quote that I wrote down from Stephen Hawking's book, noted scientist, great scientist that has, since transitioned, and I forget which year he passed away, but in his book, The Grand Design, he wrote, "The past, like the future, is indefinite and exists only as a spectrum of possibilities." The past, like the future, is indefinite and exists only as a spectrum of possibilities. So what he is saying there is that every scenario that you can imagine is possible. It already exists. And I know I'm getting deep here, but this is the truth. A scenario in which you were wealthy, or a scenario in which you were poor, or a scenario in which you are living in the home of your dreams with the relationship that you want and perfect health. That's why the scriptures say that if you can believe, all things are possible. On that spectrum of possibilities that Stephen Hawking quoted about, what spectrum, what frequency, what are you going to tap into? What are you going to tap into? Are you going to tap into the past of well, I've always, like I said, been, sick, or whatever the case may be. I've always been broke. No, you can revise that. You can start feeling like, no, I've always been wealthy. I've always had, even if it's not wealthy, I've always had more than enough. I've always been accepted by people. I've always, I've always had great health. So we can, in essence, just like we do that with our future, with the possibilities for our future, we can reach back into our past and do that as well. I know that Mike Popovich, he's a noted pastor, speaker out of Colorado. He tells the story of how when him and his wife got married, they were having difficulties. And he started saying, she's my high school sweetheart, or she was my high school sweetheart, even though they were not together, in high school. But he started telling that story, and it literally transformed their present day relationship. So we can revise our past. We can revise our story. Life is about the stories that we constantly tell ourselves. We will have those experiences in our present reality. So number 3, our future is bright because our past can be revised, so to speak. And number 4, God stands outside of time and eternity, and he heals our past. There is no time, so to speak. All that exists is now. All that exists is now. And what are you going to believe now? What are you going to feel now? What story will you tell yourself now? Your past can literally be healed. So number 1, I'll recap this really quickly. Our past is bright because it brought you, or your past is bright because it brought you to where you are this present day. Number 2, you don't have to, your past is bright because you don't have to constantly rehearse your checkered past, so to speak. Number 3, your past is bright because your past can be revised, so to speak, again. And number 4, your past is bright because God stands outside of time in eternity, and your past has already been healed. So thank you guys so much. I was really excited to share this. That was in my heart. Feel free to look below the video to see how you can get the new book, Never Doubt Your Value. You are more than enough. I'm getting great reviews on that. It's available on Amazon. And look below to see how you can get involved with some of the things I'm doing. Thank you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.